I've got to trim these trees back, especially the wealthy and the honeycrisp. If I don't trim these trees back, I will not get fruit next year. I'll get a few apples, but not like I do every year, where you can see in this tree here, the honeycrisps are just loaded. I've given bushels and bushels of them away. I do not sell my apples. I just give them to people, and it's hard to get people to come pick them. But we'll knock these down. We have plenty of deer here. The deer are coming through all the time. In fact, they'll probably come through as I'm trimming these trees, even though it's not that large of an area. And they'll start eating the brush tips and some of the softer apples. So what does produce your apples next year? Well, this little guy here, this bud on here, he's going to produce apples next year. So anything you see like that, this one here is another one. This one would produce apples. So when you're trimming, you want to watch it, but you also want to cut the tips of these back so they're not getting out there too far. And then, of course, all your scions that you got, which you don't want all these. But I could cut this one off for 1 year up in here, and we could get some apples growing off this. But all these buds that you see in the winter here have a very good chance of producing apples for you. You know, here's another one you can see, and that guy will produce about 3 apples, and I'll come out and trim it down to 2. Another one here. So that's what produces your apples for the following year. Not hard to start an apple orchard. I did lose a couple of trees after the first 2 years due to different diseases and stuff, but I replanted those. In fact, I added a Wolf River apple, which is a huge apple, just to play with it. And then I filled in with the wealthies because they are so good eating. And for the Midwest and up higher, they're great apple trees to start with. So how do I trim my trees? Give me an idea so that you're forming these trees the way you want. The first thing I'll do is anything growing straight up like this guy right here. He's gone. Cut him out. Okay? And anything growing straight down. You got one here growing straight under the branch. I'll cut him out. What you want is everything coming out the sides or on an angle here to form your tree. Then you just want to cut your tree short, and of course you want to thinner out at the top to help that sunlight get through. So again, if we go over here, this branch here, yes, I got buds here, I got buds here. These will produce apples, but this guy coming straight down like this, he's gone. I will cut him right off. I'll cut this guy off here. This guy here going straight up, even though he's coming out, I'll cut him off. Or I will cut this longer one off here just to shorten the tree up and let this younger one take over. But that's what I do. I start at the bottom. I go all the way around the tree. And once I get all these that are not wanted, the ones hanging down and the ones going straight up, like this guy going straight up here, are gone. And you'll see as you're working up, you'll see branches you missed. And it's just much easier to work around the tree that way. You can see all these scions growing straight up. So I'll take all those out. Some of them I'll use for grafting in the spring here. But once you start removing the ones that are hanging down and the ones that are hanging up, another hanging down one, and this one here, it's gone, your tree will clean up real nice. Another thing I do for trimming trees is not only take these top and bottom ones off, like this guy's got to come off, he's on the top. I got 2 branches here. You can see that are real close together. I got this one here and this one here. Now you do not want the extended branch, the furthest one out, being bigger than the one that's closer to the trunk of the tree. Also, you need some distance. Now the tree's small enough, I could let them both grow, but that's starving from one branch and your apples. So this guy here, the second one, he comes off. And you try to just keep your bigger branches back and working out. Now here's a nice sized branch here that I left go for a couple years until my tree got out here. And you can do that, you know, leave it grow so you get a few apples as it's growing. But this guy's coming straight out, coming over the top, and I don't need him. I've got a branch off this limb here that's crossing. I've got the main branch here, and again, he's coming out the top. So I will cut this one off this year. Here we're at the end of a branch, and we got another one. Yeah, it's coming out the top like this. We said, okay, let's cut off the tops, let's cut off the bottoms. But at the same time, we don't have anything coming straight out. We got a lower branch here. We got one coming off the side here. So what I'll do is I don't want him growing up any further. I don't want him growing to the right, back towards the trunk of the tree. Anything growing straight back has to be cut off. So I'm going to cut him off right here and give this branch a chance where these apples are going to grow to come back out toward my tree, or outside of my tree here. So here's one I'm going to save. I'll watch him next year. If he doesn't produce the way I want him to, or grow the way I want him to, I will cut that entire one off and let the main trunk continue to grow here. So I mentioned earlier, anything growing back towards the tree. Now that one's not coming straight out the top, but it's growing back towards the main trunk of the tree. I don't want anything growing back towards the tree. We want to create an umbrella, and we want that sun to come down and hit the lower branches. So we'll take that off. This one here is growing not straight up again, but it's crisscrossing the main branch. I don't need that one either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this one come out, and I'm going to take and keep this little guy here coming out more out, and this one here that's starting to cross, he comes off. Now here's a branch here. It's coming from straight underneath. It's coming out and it's curling right back up. And you might think, well, that's great, you know, it's curling back up. No. You still want to get rid of that. It's coming out from underneath, and even though it's curling up, you do not want that type of branch. You want to cut that off. Another thing you'll see these big areas where trees split out. This is a spot where it leafed out or budded on two different sides at the same point and grew branches. I don't like those. You got to get rid of one of those. And so you keep trimming those back. In this case, I want this little one to come out further from the tree. The other one's growing up more. Even though it's a much healthier, bigger branch, that one comes off. Now there's a lot of these double ones, real wide, where two came out. Fortunately, this one, the deer already trimmed off for me, but that whole branch, since it split right there also, will come off. Here's another one, this year's growth, two come out of the same spot. You can definitely see the difference how thick this is. I don't want this one hanging down. Again, anything down gets cut off, so the one coming out would be the one I would keep. So let me see if I can take a branch here. I'll trim it up for you, and this is what it looks like right now. I do not have anybody else out here helping me, but to give you an idea, that is the entire branch. Got a lot of shoots going up, some coming down, very crowded. And I'm going to trim it right now and take out all these new scions, and it's dropping down and up like I've mentioned multiple times. And then I'll give you a look at what this branch is going to look like when I'm done. Alright, we have this branch now trimmed up. You can see it looks pretty bare. We got an apple branch here. We'll get an apple here. But you can see all these now, all those scions are gone. Now on this end one, I did leave this one that's coming up right here, because what I'll do is the deer will get this one in the spring, and I don't mind that they get a few here, but this one's hanging down way too low, so I'll be cutting this one off next year, possibly even this year as I go around the tree, and then I want to shorten it up a bit and just pull her back a little. So most likely this one will come down. I've left one small one here that is shooting straight up and a little back, but he's so small, we'll let him get apples, because he will get a couple of real nice apples next year, and then the following year he'll be cut off. So these new little growths that are a few inches, you know, that one's probably 4 inches tall, I let him go. Here's one that's a short one. It's not growing straight up, so it's kind of going on an angle. As he gets bigger and heavier, he will come down. If he doesn't, he'll come off in a couple years. Now it's just a matter, like I said, when I get done, how far do I trim this branch back? I don't want it too short. And I could possibly even take this thing back to this guy right here and let a few new buds shoot out, shorten him up a bit. But that's what a branch looks like once you're done trimming. Almost looks like I'm not going to have anything next year. You will be surprised on the new shoots and the apples that you will get. Here's another nice sized branch that I've left for a couple years, and now it's extended to the point here where now it's crisscrossing into this other nice big branch that I have here, and that has a branch that's coming out and way out here. I don't need this crisscross anymore, so this is a nice healthy branch here. I'll let him come out this way. This one is coming completely off. Like I said, that's the hardest thing to do when you're starting an orchard, is cutting nice branches off. But you got to do it. You got to control your tree. Take control of them. Don't let them get too big. Keep them trimmed back. You'll have great fruit every year. Now here's one of these splits I was talking about. You can see it's thicker at the end here. It's coming out. Unfortunately, it's shoving into another honeycrisp that I have here. So I'm not even going to take either one of these. I'm going to cut it off where you see these couple of nice buds here on top here. And so I'll cut it off right here. These buds will produce apples for me, and we'll stop the tree and shorten him up 6 inches here. And you can see where I cut that off now, right in front of that bud there. And like I said, that branch will do great in the spring. All right, remember at the beginning, this is what our Honeycrisp tree looked like before we started trimming it. A lot of apples, a lot of branches. Started trimming around the base. Anything that grew down, anything that grew up, we took off. You know, like these new scions, but anything growing up, we take off. Anything growing down, like this, we take off, and we work our way around the tree, and pretty soon you'll see what it looks like to be able to trim more. Now that we're done, this is what that tree looks like. Branches are cut back. I've cut some big stuff off the top. I keep topping these branches. Keep it short. We want 8 to 14 feet. 14 feet to me is too tall. Keep her down to that between 10 and 12, and keep her back circumference wise. Keep her shrunk up as much as you can. I did leave a few of the bigger scions here for spring. I'll take these off in March, and just to see which ones work better. Like I said, I've been playing with grafting. I just started last year. It was very successful. So I'm just going to keep playing. I'm going to make a tree with multiple apples on it. Just to have some fun. Here are some of the new scions that I cut off on that tree. You can see they're kind of bright red. They're a real light color. And you can tell each year as these things grow where they start. Now I will trim these up. And what you ideally want is something the size of a, say, a number 2 pencil. That diameter. Maybe that's a 1/4 inch across for diameter. But I'll trim these up, and out of each branch I'll get 1 or 2 pieces, and I'll have plenty to work my orchard next year. Now to show you the difference in 2 different scions and how they grew. One of these scions here grew really long and tall over the year here. The other one's short, but the other one short has a much stronger stem, has a nice bud at the end. So when I cut this one, I will take the top off this, not cutting the upper bud, and I can get 2 pieces out of this if I want. But I'm going to keep that upper bud, and then I'll use a cliff draft on a limb next year, the one that got broken off by the deer, and use that. Now on this longer whip or scion, it put all its energy into growing, and the tip is kind of just real weak in my opinion. So I'll cut that off, and I'll cut it off down here 6-8 inches. And again, 2 sections here that I can use out of this, even 3 I could use out of this for starting some new rootstock or grafting to a branch. I got all these trimmed, laying in the snow here now, and I will cut these down to size now, and then put them in a bag and put them in the refrigerator, a little damp towel in there, paper towel, and they'll sit just fine. That's what I did last year, and they work great. As I said, here I am in the apple orchard, and you can see I'm not even done yet. I walked 20 feet away from my apple tree, showing you on this video, and the deer just they're just coming out of the woods now. I mean, for you apple or you